Hey Liz, I'm gonna send you the link right now, okay? Okay. Why do you sound like a 5-year-old? Not a 5-year-old. There we go. I gotta find your. Real quick, what's your number? What's your number? Hello?
here. So now Sandra should be able to hear me, and anyone else that's remote. So it's here. Alrighty, so first we'll start with our objectives. For the most part, this is in light of just phishing scams being at an all-time high for a lot of our customers, and of course, here we want to make sure that everyone is educated on how to identify phishing scams and know what to do when they come along. So first, we'll look at defining phishing and identifying various types of phishing scams, recognize common baiting tactics. This is very fish-based, so excuse the fish puns and analogies. Recognize common baiting tactics used in phishing scams, examine real phishing messages, understand how to protect yourself from being hooked by a phishing scam. Yeah, you see that? The hook is joke there. Okay.
Well, I'm a fisherman.
That's it. Yeah, you feel it? Okay, cool. Hopefully you don't reel me in here. Phishing, what is it? Phishing, cyber criminal attempts to steal personal information or infect computers and other devices with malware and viruses, designed to trick you into clicking a link or providing personal or financial information, often in the form of emails and websites. May appear to come from legitimate companies, organizations, or known individuals like myself, your vendors, anybody you associate you with for any deals or anything like that. Even your own family members that may have been hacked or anything like that, if someone got access to their emails. Take advantage of natural disasters, epidemics, health scares, political elections, or timely events. As we start to go a little bit further, or as we start to go into the future and develop technology further, you're going to see more and more attempts at phishing scams. If we start doing electronic voting, where you can actually do voting from your computer or phones, things like this are happening in other parts of the world, especially in Europe. As they start bringing things like that to the US, it'll affect voting. So you do have to be well versed in this and just understand that this is the terrain that we're dealing with. Types of phishing. So I'll go through this a little bit, ask any questions, but you'll see again, very phishing oriented. I know you'll like it, Walter. Mass phishing. Mass large volume attack intended to reach as many people as possible. So your large email blast. Spear phishing, targeted attack directed at specific individuals or companies using gathered information to personalize the message and make the scam more difficult to detect. Pretty much they'll start to do things like putting in information that only you would know or that you commonly put out, maybe even your signatures. They'll mimic that. They'll mimic the signature of any one of your vendors or any company that you work with, affiliate, or even your customer. Whaling, type of spear phishing attack. Type of spear phishing attack that targets big fish, including high-profile individuals or those with a great deal of authority or access. So mostly this is geared towards management, owners of companies. This is geared to people that may have large accounts. Yeah. So yeah. So maybe have like large accounts or any. Especially if you're working in the financial industry, this is a big deal and you want to be careful of it. Clone phishing, spoof copy of legitimate and previously delivered email with original attachments or hyperlinks replaced with malicious versions. So your attachments, such as like a Word document, your hyperlinks, such as like links to any web page that you may have for your organization, which is sent from a forged email address, so it appears to come from the original sender or another legitimate source. Essentially, I got one of these just today, and I actually updated the document. I have to send that out to you, so you can see the actual one that I got myself today. I was almost not in this plan, I wasn't. But it's pretty easy to spot, and you'll kind of see that. Advanced fee scam. Request target to send money or bank account information to the cyber criminal. So that's wire transfers. Hey, if you I need $5,000 to clear this, the fees, so you can get $1 million or something like that. You see that quite a bit. That's kind of like one of the most popular ones. It's kind of an oldie but goodie at this point. Common baiting tactics: notification from help desk or system administrator. This is a very big one, especially with Office 365 accounts, larger email accounts. You're getting them all the time. And it's easy to target somebody with an Office 365 account because essentially the records that you produce to the internet actually show what service you use. It's something that you can hide, but at the same time, it's not something that you really should hide. And it shouldn't be that big of an issue, but it's turned into one. Ask you to take action to resolve an issue with your account. Ergo, email account has reached its storage limit. That's a big one, which often includes clicking a link and providing requested information. That's the one I got today myself, pretty much letting me know, say, hey, listen, we have this email that's pending and you have to come in and check it just so I can actually release that email. Advertisement for immediate weight loss, hair growth, or fitness prowess. Serves as a ploy to get you to click on the link that will infect your computer or mobile device with malware viruses. Next one, attachment labeled invoice or shipping order. If you see an invoice coming from me, that's valid. Just letting you. But that's a big thing because what it does, it pulls and it works on the person's like, quote unquote, greed in a sense. Oh, okay, they're sending me money, or this is an invoice that I have to pay for something. Maybe you're getting work done at your house, and they know that because they've actually looked at your emails. Maybe you're getting work done at one of your properties, things like that. Contains malware that can infect your computer or mobile device if open. May contain what is known as ransomware, a type of malware that will delete all files unless you pay a specified amount. A lot of times with ransomware, you really can't recover anything, sadly, even if you do pay. Notification from what appears to be a credit card company. Indicates someone has made an unauthorized transaction on your account. If you click the link to log in to verify your transaction, your username and password are collected by the scammer. This actually happened to me in a different way, where of course, once they get access to your bank accounts, they physically stole my computer. And once they got access to my bank accounts, they started to do transfers. They went into my QuickBooks account and started to request transfers for payroll and things like that to their accounts. So that's something that's a big issue. Fake account or social media site mimics a legitimate person, business, or organization, may also appear in the form of online game, quiz, survey designed to collect information from your account. This is a big issue in terms of even Google accounts, fake sign-in pages and things like that. They're easily mimicked because they're very popular. They're public. You can just really get them, screenshot them, or just download the entire web page itself. Next slide. So first thing, phishing lure. Claims to come from the IT help desk system administrator. References an affiliate, vendor, IT staff, etc. Calls for immediate action using threatening language. Includes hyperlink that points to fraudulent site. So in this case, it's not easy to see here during this presentation, but this link, the attachment will be sent out to everybody so you guys can all see it later on. In this case, we have an email from the help desk. It says, update your account in the subject line. Your NDSU mailbox has exceeded its storage limit set by your email administrator, and you will not be able to receive email until you revalidate it. Click here to revalidate it. The biggest thing here is that click here link is actually leading to a fraudulent site. That's a big issue. And that's where you're seeing a lot of people get pulled in by these scams because they look like they're coming from people that that you trust, maybe vendors that you deal with on a regular basis, but they're totally fraudulent because of the simple fact that that person's email got hacked somehow. And then now the attacker, in this case, the fisherman, is actually out there making fake emails and putting these links in that you don't even know about because you don't even do a simple thing such as hovering over the link and then seeing where that link goes to. A lot of people don't do it. It's very common. It's very uncommon really for people to actually do that and check it. So we'll go over that a little bit as well. And we'll break down some of these emails. Another phishing lure or bait claims to come from PayPal, includes PayPal logo. You'll see logos from some of your vendors. Amazon, okay. So fake shipping or something like that. You got I mean, you got whatever, like something coming from Amazon Pantry, some item you wanted for Christmas, especially with the holidays. Well, we just passed all the holidays, really. But during the holiday season, it's going to be a big deal. It's like, all right, cool. I'm getting this package. I'm expecting a package from Amazon. I'm expecting a payment or something like that, or a payment notification that I made a payment from PayPal. It happens all the time. But the biggest thing in here, if we look a little bit closely, for some of you guys have to squint, at the very top, it says PayPal Inc. Net. It's like Neltone8 at ecom360.net. That is not a PayPal address. Not at all. And sometimes what you'll see is a lot of these email, your email clients, web clients, so on and so forth, will show you in greater than less than signs or in between greater than less than signs. They'll show you where the actual email address. Sometimes they try to hide it by having a long email address. Do you want to see? Oh, sorry. So sometimes they'll try to hide it by having a very, very long email address so it doesn't show the actual domain. So in this case, includes PayPal logo, but from address is not legitimate at ecom360.net. PayPal will tell you, other vendors will tell you, hey, these are the domains that will be emailing for us. For the most part, it'll always say at PayPal or at whatever subdomain. Subdomain meaning www dot is a subdomain, support dot is a subdomain, and then the actual core or the root domain, which would be something like PayPal, Amazon, mjns.it, mjnshosting.com, things like that. Calls for immediate action using threatening language. So in this email, you'll start to say, hey, it'll start to say things like, hey, if you do not act now, you might lose the sale. This order might not go through. That's what's considered threatening language. It's not really threatening you, but it's pushing you to say, hey, listen, take action and do something now. Again, if I'm talking too fast or if you have any questions, please let me know. And then, of course, we can always go through it privately if you want, if you have some questions. Includes hyperlink that points to fraudulent site. And that's the biggest thing. They want to get you from this email to click on their site and then go from there and do other things. Next. Phishing lure, likely an advanced fee scam, takes advantage of ongoing humanitarian crisis. If it sounds too good to be true, it likely is. In this case, it says, I want to request for your assistance and partnership to transfer and invest my inherited fund. And that's a big deal because what it plays on is it's a possibility that you can actually get money from this. I mean, a person with an inheritance of $1 million something and they're saying, hey, I'll give you half of it if you send me $5,000 because I don't have it right now. You know, that happens. It kind of like this caught a lot of people when it first came out because they thought they had a chance of somebody saying, hey, they picked me out of all people. Let me be the superhero or let me be the person that could benefit off of their pain or anguish. And that happened a lot, especially in the early 2000s. Going to the next one. This is a big one. Detecting a phishing scam. So we're moving on to the next section of it. Spelling errors, ergo password. So as you see in there, it's P-E-S-S. It should be P-A-S-S word. And then even the A is in the wrong place. That should be word. So lack of punctuation or poor grammar. Hyperlink URL differs from the one displayed or it is hidden. So for instance, it says Amazon.com and it's actually like www.amazon.com and it's spelled out. But then if you hover over it, if you feel suspicious about it, it goes to some URL that could be a masked link or something like that. You have what they call link shorteners out there nowadays. And with the link shortener, it just hides the actual long link below it. And they do things like that to actually hide these bad websites or these hacked websites. Threatening language that calls for immediate action. We've gone over that before. Request for personal information. Announcement indicating you won a prize or lottery. You didn't. Just plain and simple, you probably just didn't. Even the lottery, even the Florida Lotto's not going to send you an email. Even if you give them your email, they're going to want you to come and sign for it. The IRS, that's another scam. That's another big scam. The IRS scam is a big phone scam, especially in Florida. It's a huge phone scam. You talk to them long enough and you piss them off, they'll come out with a Jamaican, Haitian accent, or they'll start cursing you out. You know, you get that a lot. That was a pretty big thing in like Jamaica, my country. So that was like a lot of people actually got arrested over that, and they got extradited because of that. It was a pretty big deal. And it's, of course, it's still happening in other areas. Announcement indicating you won a prize or lottery. Request for donations. That's another one where you just donate money so you don't get anything back. You know, like it just says, hey, my child is in the hospital or something like that. If it's not a personal friend that you don't know, or if you just want to donate and be nice, just understand that money is gone.
And if you put your credit card, the rest of the credit card.
Yeah, exactly. Might have a big charge on that one. Came detect a phishing scam. So let's look at this email. Let's start at the top. NDSU IT Help Desk. NDSU is North Dakota State. For the basis of this PowerPoint presentation, I got a lot of information from them. They helped me put this together way better than I ever would have. But it actually shows a lot of information, has a lot of examples. And one is from NDSU IT Help Desk. In this case, NDSU, North Dakota State University, they're a large university. They've been around for a number of years. Why would they be coming from a Gmail address? Mm-hmm. Not even as a backup, they would do that. That's another thing. So NDSU-IT-Help Desk. It's the desk. So we got a spelling mistake there. And of course, we'll point out some other ones here in a second. Inbox, attention, your password. Sometimes you just read the word correctly, even though it's not spelled properly, but that's just a human brain. Your password expires in 2 weeks. Reset your password, now it's spelled properly, below via account management page. So that's another issue. Also at the end, you see the punctuation issue. So that's greater than sign there. Click or change password. And then you start to see the long URL there, which is just odd. Why is the NDSU IT Help Desk at Gmail
sending you to a different URL?
Sending you to the public ad effecta? That
Publicidad efectiva. Right. This is in Spanish. You're in Spanish.
Thank you. See, thank you. I'm gonna have to pay you after this. Thank you for reading that. But you see that it's sending you to a URL, and then this is NDSU. This is an American educational organization, and they're sending you to a Hispanic website. That's weird. That's odd. That doesn't make any sense, especially with the spelling, the grammatical error, or the spelling errors, grammatical errors, and punctuation errors that we pointed out. And then it goes on from there. So in the next slide, we'll start to break that down. So first, is the name of the staff mailing address list correct? No. Help desk. Use the hover technique, which is pretty much just taking your mouse and hovering it over the actual link. Does the displayed URL match the actual URL? And that's what you're seeing here. How do you say that?
Publicidad efectiva.
Right, like that. Thank you very much. And then the next one at the very bottom, changing is spelled incorrectly. So a lot of times when it's coming from a foreign country or foreign entity or anything like that, their spell checking is for their native tongue, and it doesn't really pick up on some of these things. And then of course, in some cases, they're not even using spell check at all to make sure that the word is correct, or even that the grammar itself is correct. Most email clients, most word processing tools, they all have some type of spell check or grammatic error checking. So examine the spelling and grammar and punctuation. So we already looked at the punctuation towards the top there on that one. So this is a decent example of what you see in terms of a bad phishing email. Let's look at a website. In this case, ndsu.edu. Examine the login page. Is the logo familiar? Is it the same as some of the other logos? Especially when you're seeing something like Amazon.com or University of Miami, Florida State University, University of Florida. When they make a website change, they usually change every single website, unless it's a subdomain, for instance, for the IT department, for the health department, or so on and so forth. But on the main page itself, you're gonna see that it's always gonna be the same. The logos are gonna be the same. They change the logos at the same time. Next one, look at the subtitles on the logo. Is anything unusual? For instance, where to buy and things like that. Who is requesting this information? Is it someone who would normally request that information? One thing you do have to understand about administrators is, as an administrator, I usually have the ability to change passwords as needed. Sometimes I will ask you for your password only because I don't want to change that password and cause a disruption in your everyday service. So that's one thing you want to look out for. Also, we'll look at spelling errors on the same page. Password. It's the same spelling errors over and over again. All right, next slide. This one I found myself. So this is Office 365 login page. And with this, you'll see that everything looks pretty legit. The page has the Office 365 logo. It says sign in. I don't see too many spelling errors. It's asks for your business email, your password. Keep me signed in. That's the usual thing you'll see on these pages, just to make sure that you can stay signed in for a long period of time. The Microsoft logo, which is all over Microsoft's websites. That's everywhere, so they can easily get that. The same thing with the Office 365. But the biggest thing is the thing above it. Right in the URL or the address bar, you see that it's not an Office 365 domain. It's not office.com. It's not office365.com. It's not Hotmail. It's not live.login.com or any other URL or domain associated with Office or Microsoft itself. So that's one thing you want to look out for. And it's a very simple thing because a lot of times people just focus in the meat of the actual page itself. All right. This is the one I found myself today, and this actually came to me. So it says support at business common deal. Yeah, common deal. That's like a lot. That's a huge long URL. Can't even decipher that anyways. So support at businesscommondeal.net, and that's like not even another language. I still can read it. So Office 365, one of the biggest things you'll see once you look at this document up close. I do suggest that you guys review the PDF that I have for you guys that I've sent out, or I sent to Haiti, and I'll have Haiti redistribute that so everyone can get it. But this Office 365 logo is poorly done. It's probably something that was very small and they actually expanded it or enlarged it, and it looks very grainy. You'll see a portion of the actual logo itself here at the bottom. You can't see it in great detail here over on the projector, but for those that are viewing this via YouTube, you'll see that in this section is very cut off. It's not clean. Now, Office 365, Microsoft itself, their logos are going to be they're going to be able to be enlarged up to the size of a billboard, if necessary, at any point in time. You should be able to take it, put it anywhere, and then enlarge it. They're what they call vector images in some cases, or just high resolution images in most cases. So now we'll read through this one really quickly. Hello, you have some business emails pending. An error in your mail server SMTP settings. And let's look at just the structure of that sentence. You have some business emails pending, an error in your, it doesn't even start off saying, hey, this was an error in your, that's not usually how most people will talk to you, even when writing a professional, dry, to the point business email or business sentence. It doesn't sound right. We sent this message to you because we have to inform you about your domain system update. So it went from you have mail server SMTP settings to domain system update. to me as an IT person, this does not jive, because when I see emails like this, I'm seeing something like that from that third line. I'm seeing that from GoDaddy. I'm seeing that company where I actually have to put in information about my company or personal information or anything like that. Then in this case, it doesn't show the link, but it has the sign in. Usually with the Microsoft emails, they're gonna have a nice button that you can click on. They're not just gonna have a regular link like that. Also, in some cases, they do send simple emails, especially if it's a low-level system that's doing it. You'll see that sign in. So the biggest thing you wanna do is just hover over that link just to make sure you know where it is going. All right.
Over.
No, on this one, it's just a screenshot, yeah. Please sign in if you still use this mailbox, mbogle@aoenetworks.com. You guys don't know it, but that was like the first company I ever started. So AOE Networks was an old company, and I still get email for that domain because I keep that domain alive. Nostalgia, I guess. But for me, I don't ever use anything for it, and there would be no emails that would be pending for it. Also, any of those emails that would actually come into just one email box for me. This is an alias in that sense. So there's no reason for me to get this. And then, of course, at the bottom, those 3 boxes, that's just something with Microsoft Office in your webmail client. So pretty much, all right, cool. Go to the next one. Well, go back. So this is an example of something that's reoccurring, and it occurs. It's occurred to everyone, and you'll see it a lot, and it'll keep on coming in. Like, it just happens way too much. But one thing you want to look out for sometimes is just how crappy does the email look in terms of the icons that are used, in terms of the page that it directs you to, the image quality. Those are little things that you can scrutinize. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but the problem there, because it happened to me, it's a customer forwarded one of these, and I was driving, and when we look at it, I looked at it, and it looked original. I'm driving, the resolution on the phone is not great. Now, you don't have a big screen on the computer, right? You're driving. So I think the biggest concern here is, because of what you're mentioning, is we gotta take our time to read correctly everything.
Yes, every day, brush here, we have to do so many things before you click on anything when you see an email.
We have to read it correctly several times if necessary.
Right. And one of the bigger things,
they're counting on you to be distracted.
Right. And that's kind of how it works, is that they're making it so you put your guard down. They're making it so you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this does seem like it's coming from Michael or Office 365.
Because when it happened to me, that thing that it happened, the buyer forwarded the email and said, this is odd. The title company shouldn't be sending you. It looks like GST sent it. So I told him, listen, this is odd. Don't say nothing. Wait for it. Let me talk to the title company. When I called Sandra, she was in the closing. So she took a while to get back to me. And as soon as she said, no, this is not me, I called the buyer. It was too late. He already sent the wire.
That happens. So, and that's kind of the thing, like having those mental checks. And this might be something that you want to send out to your customers just to let them know. Say, hey, listen, if you want to look at a document to help you, maybe it's in something in your welcome package, maybe something you want to send out. Say, hey, listen, one thing that we're doing already is putting it in the signature. So that's good, but not everybody reads the signature, even if you put it in yellow, all caps, and make the font bigger than the rest of the email itself.
Oh, it did.
Right. It'll always happen. The best thing you can try and do is educate, and then also put in policies and procedures in place, and then even educate the customer and just let them know, hey, we'll send it to you at this. If you ever have any problem, understand that, and verbally say it. And then hopefully it clicks in their mind. You'll just have less people, but you will still always have one person that falls for it. Sadly, but true. All right, so go on to the next one. We're gonna break down the email. In this case, Trisha Jordan, Jordan Trisha 607 at halfandweb.com. Do you know this sender? Please see attached invoice and remit payment according to terms listed at the bottom of the invoice. There is no greeting. Certain things like that. We went over that even in the previous email, or one of the previous email examples, where it did not sound right as a sentence. I personally couldn't totally break it down, but when I looked at it, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense in terms of how a person would talk to you. Most people are going to greet you. They're going to add a little bit of fluff to it. They're not going to be cut and dry or get straight to the point like that. That does not always happen, especially in business. It's just pretty much bedside manner that you add a little bit of greeting to it and just add a little bit of, I guess you would say,
Human candor?
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be a great way to explain it. If you have any questions, let us know. There's no salutation or signature. Also, we're looking at an attachment. Somebody sends attachment like a zip file, a PDF file, a Word document, an executable file, which most do not send any executables anymore because most email carriers do not allow you to send them. You have to send them in a different form or fashion. Are you expecting an attachment from this person or company? And that's one thing you want to be wary of. Are you even expecting an email from this person at all? First thing, do you even know that person? You know, like you get a lot of emails and you're like, well, who is this person? Why am I getting an attachment of any sort? Why am I getting a zip file that can contain anything, that can contain ransomware, that can contain an executable that can actually harm my computer and take my data? Yes, ma'am.
And for our industry, they'll make it very pertaining to our industry. Like for closing, they'll say, hey, here's the attached closing disclosure. It's going to make you want to click it. So always double check that, because I personally received those emails where they make it pertaining to yourself and to the industry. That's going to try to get you to open that email. And It has the attachments there.
Right. And then the attachment itself will be named properly. It might be named for a customer. It might be named in the name of the company itself. It might be named even just the date. And it's like, oh, this is current and new. I need to look at this. You know, like it'll have things like that. It'll do anything for you to click on it and open it. It really plays on human behavior. Next. Excuse me. Protect yourself. Refuse the bait. Stop, think, connect. Before you click, look for common baiting tactics. Some of the things that we went over. Do you know this person? Is this person supposed to send you anything? Is there any reason for this person to have any type of contact or send you an invoice? Are you expecting an invoice from them? Are you even expecting this type of correspondence from this person? For instance, if somebody is supposed to send any type of money, are they supposed to send you money? Are they supposed to talk about sending you money? Especially in this industry, we know there's policies and procedures that we all go through. If the message looks suspicious or too good to be true, treat it as such. Install and maintain antivirus software on your electronic devices. That even includes your phones, especially a lot of phones, they don't use it. They're not as susceptible because of the security settings and the security like firewalls that are put in place. A lot of phones don't even really need this nowadays in terms of antivirus, but it is another thing that you want to, another layer of protection that you may want to use and invest in. Use email filters to reduce spam and malicious traffic. A lot of the email filters are already in Office 365, but as you see, a lot of these things get through. And even with some of the email filters, it may actually come from a legitimate source or from one of your customers that have been hacked somehow, shape, or form, because they may not be protected at all. But pretty much think and be on your toes even when you're looking at every email. After a while, you'll just get so used to it. Like some of my other customers, they've gotten so used to it, they're like, yeah, this is crap. Okay, this is good. This is crap, so on and so forth. And they're dealing with government contracts. Well, probably not now since it's shut down, but you get the point. All right, protect yourself and refuse the bait. Be wary of messages asking for passwords or other personal information. Most reputable businesses and organizations will not ask you for this information via email. They may ask you over the phone, and in most cases, they're not even going to do that because they've designed their databases and they've designed their actual help desk not to ask you for that password. You do have to understand a lot of these organizations have to even distrust their own employees. So that means they're not going to allow their employees to get your password or your information. They're never going to ask you for that. They're going to find some other way to actually validate or get into your account somehow, some way. And they have their own backdoors that they put in there for their employees to use. Never send passwords, bank account numbers, or other private information in an email. Pretty much the same thing as sending your social security information over any type of electronic communication, or even using it over the phone. Even if it's a bill collector and you owe this bill, sometimes they'll say, like, people will say, you see other people that are security minded will say, hey, don't give your information out. Even the people that you know that you owe money to, in some cases, they should already have that information, or at least a portion of it. So they'll ask you for the last 4 because they have the other numbers. Do not reply to requests for this information. Verify by contacting the company or individual, just like you were just talking about, Walter. Just calling around and talking to people. Hey, this seems odd. Why are we doing this? So on and so forth. But do not use the contact information included in the message. So they might have a phone number in there. They might have an email address in there. And they say, hey, call if you need assistance. Kind of like,
any questions?
Yeah, calling your bluff in some cases. Because they'll have a 1-800 number and they'll say, please contact us about this error or issue, especially if it's an IRS collection or anything like that, email or electronic communication in some way, shape, or form. And you see it and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they have a phone number. Let me talk to a real person. Well, that person is real, but they're really trying to steal your money.
Yeah, like QuickBooks. Remember we got the QuickBooks invoice, we trying to get the credit card information, but we end up calling the actual QuickBooks people.
Right.
He was like, can you verify this email? They had never heard of them. They told us we don't have any money that's due.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was super persistent calling and asking for a credit card.
Every day, every hour.
To the point it was every hour on the hour.
Oh.
Yeah, they were very relentless, and they will, call her bluff, but then they try to kind of go around the whole thing to make it seem.
In some cases, yeah, they'll try and push the conversation in their in the direction that they want, and they'll sweet talk you. They're con artists, especially if they're trying to get money from you. They're going to be very persistent. I mean, even I try to get money from customers. I'm still not that persistent. I'm just I'm still not even that persistent. Yeah, right. Like, exactly. Well, no. That's even a lot of work for me. I got one question.
But legitimate companies, that's what they do. They send you to collect.
Right. And that happens, especially if you owe them a lot of money, even if it's not a lot of money. I remember I was sent to collections for $100-something. I just went in there and paid it off. I went to them and paid it off and went from there. But you'll see, that's kind of crazy. And every hour.
Yes, every hour, every single time they'll call, because then they say, and we tell them that, oh, Haley's gonna be in within the next week. They will call back in that 45 minutes. Oh, well, you know what? Actually, Haley's gonna go and send it to Larissa. They will, oh, okay, well, look,
Larissa.
This isn't, we'll send it to, it will be like that. It will be like a whole rectangular effect of people.
Wow.
And they will remember the name, they remember the time. Oh, well, they just told me that she just went on break. She should be back right now. Can I speak to her? And it was just.
They make no.
How much were they asking for? You probably should have gave it to them. Oh, you should have gave them that. They worked hard for that money. Like, come on. That is so messed up. You didn't give it to them. You know what? I think we should start like a little pool and just like put all our money into it. At least send them like $100.
Call the guy.
Yeah, something like that. Like, send them a card with a middle finger in there or something like that. It's like, you tried and this is all you got. But again, that persistence that's a job for them. They're working in sales. They're trying to get that money. In some cases, that's a car note for them. That's their rent. That's food. That's more money towards the yacht that they want to buy or what have you. Like, that persistence is gonna pay off, and it's gonna get to somebody. It's kind of like I watch a lot of this one guy on YouTube, Bounty Tank, and he's very persistent about going out for bail bond, like going after people that are running from bounties and such. And he will kick in people's door consistently, but that puts pressure on the person. And the point that you do that, the reason you do that for is that the people that are being affected by it, at some point they're going to give it.
Or get tired and just give it away because of.
And that's it. And then just because it's like, you know what, you deserve it. Like, I wanted to start a pool for this guy because I believed in it. I think he's great. So, not doing a great thing though, of course. But that's some things you have to worry about. And then at some point you just say, hey, listen, I'm just going to block your number and I'm going to call your boss. Moving on. Do not click on any hyperlink in the email. Well, that's wrong. Use your computer mouse to hover over each link to verify its actual destination, even if the message appears to be from a trusted source. Pay attention to the URL and look for a variation in spelling or different domain. Ergo, fsu.edu versus fsu.com. ndsu.edu instead of ndsu.com. So, for instance, most educational organizations, they do not have a .com address because they are not a commercial. Yeah, they're not a commercial entity. They're an educational organization. All right. Consider navigating to familiar sites on your own instead of using links within the messages. So, for instance, in the terms of in regards to the QuickBooks issue, go to QuickBooks.com. You log in with your account. Act there at a trusted login page, not using any links, and then you start looking for the charges, or you make the calls to the support. Consider navigating to familiar sites on your own instead of using the links within the messages, or went over that one. Examine websites closely. Malicious websites may look identical to legitimate sites. Look for HTTPS. That means secure. That's a secure connection. Usually in the top left-hand corner or the left-hand side of the address bar, you'll see that it actually has something that says it'll be in a green color, or sometimes it's grayed out, but it shows a lock showing that that web page is actually secure. A lot of browsers nowadays will let you know that, hey, this is a secure website, but the certificate that it's using is not validated by a trusted third party, such as GoDaddy or any other large entities like Microsoft or self-signing certs.
But if it's secure, but it's not, the certificate is not legitimate. So how do we?
In that case, it'll warn you. Just let me know. I mean, that's pretty much the biggest thing you can do, because yeah, for instance, for a lot of the web pages that I use for administration purposes, they will not have a valid certificate because I'm not going to pay, or in most cases, my customers are not going to pay $100 in some cases per year per certificate. So in those cases, that's what I deal with on a regular basis. So I see it more than most people would see it. Because they're not getting into these administration pages like I am. Bless you. But in that case, if you're seeing it, for instance, for QuickBooks, if you're seeing it for one of your vendors, notify your vendor and let them know, as well as let me know. Now, if you call your vendor at their normal number or a number that you have that you've used before, and they say, hey, yeah, we're having an issue, then you might want to back off from that site anyway and be cautious and not use it that day. Say, hey, fix your certificate issue, talk with your IT personnel, and then go ahead and fix this, or get that fixed before we can actually move forward with any type of other transfer of documents or other information. All right. Or a lock icon in the address bar before entering any sensitive information on the website. Right. We're almost done here, folks. Thank you very much. So report a phish. If you have received a phishing message, what I always say in this case, one of the things I modified on this whole presentation is notify your coworkers and management. Let people around you know, and then those people that are above you in management know that, hey, I'm getting these emails, and I think we all should watch out for them. And I think this is going to be a big issue for us. Using a screenshot of the email with help of the snipping tool. If you don't know the snipping tool, we're going to go over that in the next slide. Then delete the message. Get rid of it. Get it out of your inbox. If anything, report it to myself. Then I can check your actual email account in time just to see what's going on with it and see if there's any forwarding rules or any other rules in there that are forwarding messages to other people. So in this case, we'll go over the snipping tool for Microsoft. In this case, for Windows 10, if you press the Windows key in the bottom left-hand corner of your keyboard, and then you'll see the menu pop up. Then in that menu, without even clicking anything on it, if you type in the word snip, S-N-I-P, then you'll see an icon for the snipping tool come up. For Windows 8, swipe in from the right edge of the screen, tap search, or if you're using a mouse pointer, point to the lower right corner of the screen, move the mouse pointer up, and then click search. Again, you'll be typing in snipping tool. Essentially, the biggest thing is you want to start searching for this. And that's how you're really going to find it quickly. In Windows 7, select the start button in the bottom left-hand corner of your keyboard, then type snipping tool in the search box, and then select snipping tool from the list of results. When you're in the snipping tool, to the left under the title bar, you'll see where it says new. You click on that, or even if you're in the program itself, you press Control-N. That's just a shortcut key. But most people will just click the button. Click on it, and then in the snipping tool will actually put a semi-transparent white layer over your entire screen, and then you can just drag from one corner to the next the section that you want to actually snip. A lot of people already know about that, of course, because they use it on a regular basis. I get a lot of information or get a lot of screenshots from you guys using the snipping tool. Of course, on your phones and your cellular devices, you can actually do screenshots as well, but that varies for each phone. Mostly it's like the volume button and the power button for older phones. Newer phones, if you have a fingerprint reader, you double tap that. And other phones have actual like drop down menus where you can actually select portions of the screen and crop it and send it. All right, so last thing, credible online resources. Stay safe online. Federal Trade Commission teaches you a little bit more about phishing emails and scams that are out there if you want to get more information on that. But a lot of the information that is already in this spreadsheet or this presentation pretty much covers everything that they're showing you. There are some new things that are out there that aren't even in this and they're a little bit in this presentation, and they're a little bit harder to actually explain. United States Emergency Readiness Team, you can actually report phishing, especially if it's a large case or it's a case where a lot of money was involved. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions, stories that they have, or scenarios that they want to go over?
Can you just touch base as well for the loan officers not to use their personal emails in communication with customers, and to make sure that they use our company emails just to avoid the cybercrime and all the identity theft and everything?
So that's a very important thing. A lot of times, even with anybody dealing with the company, as long as you have a company email address, it is best to always use the company email address, one, for accounting and auditing purposes. For instance, if we ever have to go back and look at anything in your email address and get any information out of it. Two, for security and compliance. In some cases, some compliance organizations require you to use a company email address, and it require the company to have copies of any correspondence that you have with a customer or a client in any way, shape, or form. By using your own personal email address that is attached to your computer at home, in some cases, your home computer might actually have an issue with it, a virus or any other type of malware, ransomware, or even spyware in some cases, where they're actually looking at your actual screen and they're seeing everything that you're doing. And then with that, they're like, oh, okay, well, this person actually deals a lot with money, or they're actually in the middle of a deal right now, and we can try and find some way to actually get that information and get that money wired to us some way, shape, or form. These people are out here, as bad as they are, they're very smart. They're not stupid. And in some cases, they learn very quickly from people that actually are smart within their organization, and they're doing things to try and gather as much information. One story that I know of, this happened, I believe, in Thailand, and it was Thailand. And it had to do with the international banking system, or the way that the international banking system works, the SWIFT system, which is how we transfer money from one country to the next. And with the SWIFT system, in this case, they stole millions of dollars, and they did it on I believe it was a country that practiced Muslim beliefs, I believe. So for instance, it was a Muslim holiday, and this started on Thursday. The attack started on Thursday. It started with the printer not printing out any of these transactions that were actually going through, because there was quite a bit of them. And all these transactions went through over that holiday all the way until Tuesday, when they actually finally came back into the office. And this was an international scam. And the way it worked is they were making all these transfers. All these transfers have to be cleared by the SWIFT headquarters office. In this case, it was in New York City. And they were letting everything go because it's not uncommon for a large bank to actually make these type of transfers. So with this, most of this money actually got stolen. Long story short, a lot of the money got stolen. Quite a bit of it got recovered. But essentially what happened is the person that got hacked, or the person that they found, they were using their personal computer and they were accessing company emails. And then from that, they were able to get into their company emails and get the password, because they had what they call a keylogger that copies all your key strokes and everything like that, passwords, so on and so forth. And that caused a multi-million-dollar loss. It was actually in the 9 figures, and it only ended up being 8 figures by the end of the actual attack. And that's simply just, and that was just simply, and the way it worked is they funneled the money through multiple accounts all over the world to wash it. And then it finally ended up in, I believe, Taipei. And that was in a country where the laws in terms of extradition and the treaties that the U.S. or the country that was affected actually had money. They had no extradition laws, and they had no rights to actually do anything there. So the people that were in there, they were working months in advance. 6 months is what they were saying that they had access to all of this, and they were just watching that person's emails. So these people are patient. They're not going to call. Some of them are not going to call you every hour. They're going to wait for a good period of time before they actually strike. So that's why it's important not only to have a protected computer if you're using your personal computer to access company emails, but also not to have company correspondence or company-based correspondence via your personal email. Was there anything else? Any other questions? Sorry for the long story on that one, but you're seeing 8 to 9 figures in some cases getting passed around here, and they're not getting it back. And with the use of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and things like that, they're never going to get that money back. And it's just on their bank sheet. And in some cases that destroys some banks, and it especially destroys their trustworthiness and the confidence in their own security. Anything else? All righty, everyone. I should be able to upload this so you guys can see it later if you want to look at it, if you want to do any retraining on that. I do suggest that you guys review this on a regular basis, at least once, twice a year. It is information that is ever evolving. It is also information that is very important to your industry and any other thing or any other correspondence that you may have with your customer base, okay? And also try to do little things to inform your customers of ways that they can protect themselves. This document, I redid quite a bit of it and added some things in there so that you can actually take this and give it even to your own customers so that they can see it. And it's just something that's always good because some of your customers might like that, especially for larger vendors or organizations that you work with. All right?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you like pizza? You got
Yeah.
pizza.
They already.
Really quick, Larissa passed out our social media, internet, and email policy procedures. Please go ahead and read through them and know exactly what our policies and procedures is when it comes to this. The operations staff is instructed not to respond to